Kape versus Almabayev, a last minute switcheroo fight. What a great night. I actually went to see a roller derby, so I caught the prelims, pressed pause, ran out, went to see some people roll around on skates and push each other, and I'm thinking I want to try that. It was pretty cool. I don't know. Let me know if you've ever been to a roller derby or been in one. What do you think? Great time. And then I ran back home and I pressed play. And I finished the fights out and oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Major takeaways. 6 southpaws versus conventional during the night. That's how many matchups of that style we had. That's crazy. Okay. Ramazonbek Temirov stopped Charles Johnson's 4-fight win streak using his heart and using his fury. All right. John Anik, our friend, was especially cracked out that night, and I think that he might have been spiked with real liquid adrenaline based on his performance compared to Dominic Cruz. Okay. Cub Swanson was in the building. 2 black belts were awarded. Youth prevails. Hyder Amil finally caught a break from life. Cody Brundage is a real one. Teammates embrace. Esteban is truly unique. Kape has a game plan and he sticks to it. Do you think that the eye pokes had a role though in that fight? Anyway, 2 violent KOs. And Heidi gets commentator title and she deserves it. Okay. Coffee right now. Got my donuts earlier. Ready to chat. I've sat and thought about things a little bit. All right, so the first fight that we had was Charles Johnson versus Ramazonbek Temirov. And Temirov, hello. Wow, what fury, what drive. I mean, that man would not give Charles Johnson a break. You could tell that he was making the fight his own. Okay, you could tell that he was motivated, to say the least. Okay, and cool hat. Cool hat, Temirov. I love that hat. Very cool. It seemed like a weird setup other than their records, like being very similar, talked about it before. Charles Johnson actually, being ranked in the flyweight division on a 4-fight win streak. But you know what? Temirov stopped that hype train, if there was a hype train. Yeah, I mean, Charles Johnson was on a 4-fight win streak. And Temirov said, queen. Heidi was looking so great. I love her outfit. Joe Martinez was looking very sharp. He was looking classic as usual. That man knows how to dress himself. Charles and Ramazonbek, that first round was so frantic that it felt like 3 rounds. I don't think I was the only person that felt that way. Like, it was so active and there was just so much going on that I was like, what? Are we not at round 3? But that fight went all the way to decision in Timirov's favor, stopping the win streak. Temirov he was pushing, okay? He was pushing and he was going in and you could see that he had crazy in. It was still a really close fight though, so it's not like he went in there and just dominated Charles completely. It was very, very close. In the 3rd round, I feel like ultimately really was the thing, and the corners were both screaming. And of course, we're at the apex, so the only people we can really hear is the corner. It was so loud actually that like Dominic was struggling to like be louder than that, because Dominic, he's not really a yeller. So 2-man booth, John and Dominic, of course. So yeah, Temirov got the decision on that one. All right, next fight. The Snorlax featured prelim was, yes, kind of a snore. JJ Aldrich versus Andrea Lee. But what we did learn, again, is that Aldrich is durable, and she often does come out on top when it comes to decisions. And, okay, Andrea Lee is on a 6-fight losing streak. Is that it? Because people have been cut when they're on a win streak, as I've made a note of before. So that was kind of a snoozy snooze decision. But that's our first black belt earned of the night, okay? Lots of dancing, though. It wasn't a very violent exchange. It was just very dancey. Andrea Lee was, like, throwing in the air. She was throwing to the air. Like, she's the taller fighter, should be able to take advantage of that distance, right? But she was just throwing to the air. Throwing to the air. It was not great. But round 3 was a little bit more JJ. 3rd fight. Featherweight. So we're feather. So we're on the featherweights. And we had Danny Silva versus Lucas Almeida. And Cub Swanson was in the building. Hello, Cub Swanson. Almeida was overweight. Get it together. That's okay. This one was a dogfight. Okay. Silva and Almeida really put their dog in. They put their dog in the fight. And this was our first split decision fight of the night. We had a handful of those, okay? And this was the first one. But in this case, our big underdog, this is kind of a night of underdogs, I think, actually. A little bit of a night of the underdog. So this was definitely a dogfight, had a really great pace the entire way through. Both of them were looking for the finish, though, which, that kind of has its downsides, in my opinion. Just kind of your hands can fall, a little bit less. But it was great. No complaints, actually. No complaints. But bit of a risk going forward to play a game strategy like that. Okay, next fight. All right, we had Ricardo Ramos versus Kape Mariscal, and I forgot to include this in a big takeaway, but one of the big takeaways of the night is Mariscal. Mariscal equals grit, and that was really great. Oh my gosh. So that was a unanimous decision, our only unanimous decision of the night in favor of Mariscal. Okay, featherweight. So 2 featherweight fights in a row. Oh, Kape. Yeah, it was great though. Ramos was giving it his all, coming in with a lot of cool spinning attacks. You got to watch out for those, but they were being read. Okay, that's how you got a mixed martial artist in the cage, someone who can read spinning attacks, because that's kind of, yeah, that's a great one. And in the post fight, you can see Mariscal has, our friend Kape has evolved a lot and said that he used to only see blood. Now he's a little bit more controlled, and I do think that ultimately was a big difference, being able to choose your shots a little bit better. We have another black belt being awarded. So that was when I had pressed pause, and then I went to the roller derby and I had a lovely time, and now I want to try that. I pressed pause, I avoided any spoilers, and then I ran back home afterwards and pressed play again. And where was I at? I was at the featured prelim of the night, a big heavyweight matchup. The youngest person on the card versus someone who is not exactly a veteran, but, has been there, done that. So we have Austin Lane versus Mario Pinto. Mario Pinto, like tiny, but only in the sense of youth. That is because he is a big man. He made John Anik look so small. And John is a normal-sized human being. Austin Lane came out to an A$AP Rock song. It was either A$AP Rock or his collab with Tobacco under the name Malibu Ken. But I heard that music and I was like, am I hallucinating? So that was very, very cool. That was very, very cool. I love to see a quirky little music choice. There's actually a lot of good music choices, but we don't have to go over that. Okay. In this first round, you could see that Austin Lane was chasing. He was trying to run Pinto down. And he was pushing with the clinch. And he was doing kind of all right. I could see that first round hedging its way to Austin Lane from all that control, backing up Pinto to the fence. John was out of his mind. Like, he was hyped up on adrenaline. Like, he is shrieking. And it is not really contrasting that well with Dominic's very calm demeanor. So the round 1 goes by. John's shrieking. He's really into it. We get to round 2. We start exchanging right away. Okay? And I'm thinking to myself, Austin, you're not fainting. He's just like trying to look for that kill shot. You know what I mean? Just like not moving his head and just kind of maybe moving a little bit with the body, but like no feints. And you know what happens when you don't feint? Yeah. Or if you feint too much, actually. Okay, so if you don't feint or if you feint too much, you often feint yourself like this. So he did. Yeah, Pinto caught him. And Pinto, the interesting thing is he caught him with the same, pretty much, virtually the same setup that he used in the Contender Series. So they gave us a little flashback to that when they were throwing it back. That's when they were replaying the fight. They replayed that fight as well. It looked like Austin really died in there too. Genuinely looked like he died. He was out for a while. We're talking eyes wide open, glazed. I am glad that Mark Smith got in there when he did, because he jumped on top of him before Pinto was able to get any more strikes in, and thank God, because he was out. He woke up. I hope he's okay. Sincerely hope he's okay. I hope that he had a pleasant visit to the doctor, because that was brutal. Pinto seems really nice. What a great debut. Massive dude, massive right hand. Holy crap. So he was really happy to be there. And that was crazy. So that was our feature prelim. Now we're on the main card. First fight, Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. And Danny Barlow coming in undefeated, coming in as a really big favorite, one of the biggest favorites on the card. We are only on our 6th fight at this point, and it is our 6th matchup between a southpaw and a conventional style, and Dominic Cruz will help us keep tabs. Easy to notice it right away when you see a conventional versus a southpaw, but just how many of those matchups you might actually forget, because seemed like it was more of those matchups than not. But yeah, had another those, a lot more like high fives in fights like that usually. Sorry, betters. You lost because our underdog got a KO of our undefeated prospect. Ha 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 ha. Okay, I don't mean to laugh at you. I'm not. I just think that you have to bet with your mind, because in cases like this, it didn't work out. Because not only did Patterson win, but he won in the way that nobody expected. Okay, so I guess some of you might be laughing. If you bet for Sam Patterson to win via knockout in the first round, no, you didn't. Okay, no, you didn't. Let me know. You're lying. You're lying if you did, okay? But if you did, ooh, boy, would that have been a payout. So, yeah. The thing is that Danny came in reckless. He came in reckless and he got caught. Happens. And you know what's funny? Okay, so Sam, funny guy in the mic, he's like, he had a little bit of Apex nostalgia, which maybe you know how I feel about that. You know, boo Apex. But he was like, it was where I was awarded my contract, and it just, it feels good basically to be back. I was like, sweetie, honey, you deserve a crowd, okay? You deserve a crowd, friend. So, yeah, he didn't call anybody out. We're not in the top 15 yet. Just made his way up to welterweight. I mean, what a great performance, but humble about it. And he's staying humble about it. He's like, you know what? I'm proving myself. Sweetie. I like that. Oh, and he was also saying, okay, really importantly, Sam Patterson is at the end of his contract. That was his last fight. And resign him. Okay? We need to resign this guy. We need to resign him. We need to see more. I do not want to see him fade away into the mist. Resign him. Okay. Second fight on the main card. I was really, really, really looking forward to this. Oh my gosh, I'm so hyped up on Haider Amil. So we had Haider Amil versus William Gomis, who, this is, most people had this one pretty even. They have pretty similar records. Haider is undefeated, though, and a little bit less experienced. And also, how is William Gomis 6 feet tall? Okay. Most featherweights are not. Okay, round 1 was an absolute clinch party. It was clinchy. It was clinchy, grabby, fighty for the under hooky. Oh my god, that was a lot. Ultimately, in that first round, I felt like Gomis was controlling. He was the one in charge of that clinch. He had the underhooks for the most of it. And he was, Gomis was catching a little bit of momentum, but Haider was always responding through that first round. John was having an orgasm. We have another great fight, another orgasm from the corner from John. Seriously, every time like somebody gets hit or something happens, Okay, please let me know if you were thinking the same thing, that John was a little out of hand. He was a little bit zealous that night, overzealous. Okay. I mean, it was a great first round. Absolute war already. War of the clinch. Some people can't appreciate when we have a fight that is fighting with the clinch. People, they just want to see blood and guts. But that was already a really good round. So can we get to round 2? They squared up immediately. They are throwing themselves at each other immediately. It's close. It's a war. You can feel how close the fight is in the second round. Okay, and in this second round, Gomis beats his personal record for significant strikes. And he is an active fighter already to begin with. He's not somebody who dances around. So that is a huge indicator on how the fight was going. It was absolute action, absolute war, and we carry that momentum all the way into the third round, and oh my gosh, the war continues. I'm surprised there wasn't more blood and guts because of how violent the exchanges were. And you know what? Haider Amil's not used to a third round. And you could see a little bit of gassing, but at the same time, he turned up the dial. He turned up the dial, and ultimately you could see in that third round that Haider wanted it more. It was clear. He was probably thinking to himself, undefeated record is really on the line here. Lots to prove. Oh. Lots to prove. And it was such a close fight that with less than a minute left, 50 or so seconds left, they were tied, the two of them, but with their significant strikes. So not only had Gomis beat a record for significant strikes personal record, but they were tied. And the fight was counting down in its final minute. Oh my goodness. They made it all the way to the end. And in the judges' scorecards, it was splitty. And it was Amil who ultimately got on top. I think a lot of that was because the third round was pretty clearly his. And he really put on the gas. But wow, both of those men, snaps and claps. And you know what? Maybe it was a little bit of the universe. Because Amil has been through some shit lately, okay? He's been through it. He lost his dog. He lost his best friend. He lost his dad. And all in a span of a very short amount of time. Okay. So, and not just that, not just personal tragedy, but a torn bicep, a torn MCL. So he is ridden with injuries right now. You know, a lot of people say things like, oh, you should see, like, I wasn't fully healthy. You got to see me when I'm, but I believe him. Anyway, holy moly. Lots of tenacity that he's had to show in his real life. So it was cool to see him come up on top. And I just was really rooting for my Filipino king. Toughness. It's time for the top 15, right? Let's give him a top 15. Okay. Making our way down the card to the next fight. Third one of... Okay, no. Nasrat Haqparast. What a guy. What a gentleman. What a lovely man. And he's going against Esteban Ribovics. Young as well. Younger in the game. Another mullet. Okay? How many... Okay, wait. There were three mullets, okay? There were some that were horrifying, Charles Johnson. There were some that were kind of confusing, Danny Barlow. And then there was Esteban's, who was, I would say, the conventional mullet, the mullet that's very popular right now. Let me know if you have one. This is our 5th Southpaw versus conventional fight. Oh my gosh. Again, here we go. So, round 1, Ribovics gets hit, and he smiles at the pain. Yeah, his mouth's bleeding, and he likes that. Okay. Nasrat doing work, showing his experience, I feel like. He was just able to see things a little bit better, you could see. Both of them super, super active. Okay, Nasrat, more technical by round 2, and it becomes clear. He is countering very well. He's really forcing Ribovics to miss. I mean, they're both landing. They're both causing damage, but you could see a little bit more output on Esteban's side, but less of it hitting, less actual contact. Ribovics, you could even see from the statistics, he was basically exclusively headhunting. So whereas Nasrat was mixing things up, hitting the body, hitting the legs, throwing in a couple of kicks there, Esteban was hunting for his head only. He had that, I want to knock this guy out type mindset. And that was definitely to his detriment. Ultimately, no body shots really at all. So, and his team had told him towards the end to try to mix that in. So we made it to round 3. We have another fight back to back. So we just had a fight that the theme was we're entering round 3 and who wants it more because of how close it is. And we have that same scenario right here. Okay. And Esteban is nonstop offense. He is just pushing on the gas. And he nails Nasrat with an intense knee. Oh my gosh. And it's blood. It's blood. It's violence. And so he gets hit with a nasty knee. You can see it wobbles him a little bit, but he maintains his composure and he comes back, hitting him strong. It's blood. It's war. Okay. And you hear John, again, losing it on the commentary table saying, I can smell blood. And I know he says that, but just the way he was saying it. Okay, so you get that in round 3. I can smell blood. And yeah, Esteban fights over and he's dancing at the end. Had a good time. So we get another decision. This one's split. This one is split for Nasrat. He managed to pull out the win. So I think when looking at the fight in round 3, it kind of seems like maybe it should have been Esteban who came out, but even though he was more active, he was landing less. But it was really tough. This was a tough one to score. So let me know. Let me know if you think it should have been Nasrat or if you think that it was right for the split decision to go in Esteban's favor. I feel like I'm going back and forth on that one. Okay. Shout out to the Kingdom of Morocco. And also, I don't know why they had to do this, but we had another Kape jump scare. I'm scared, honestly. That was horrifying. Co-main event made our way to battle of the career between Cody Brundage and Julian Marquez, two awesome, amazing middleweights who are stand-up people, stand-up guys, both of them. And funny little thing, okay, again, night of the underdogs. Cody Brundage has been an underdog in 9 of his last fights. Wow, that's rude. Okay, so that'll put a chip on your shoulder, I feel like, reasonably so. Why are people doubting him? Well, round 1, you could see right away Cody was faster. He was not looking like an underdog. He was looking like he was beating Julian to the punch, literally. It's round 1. Cody's getting in there, but, drops the hands a little bit and he gets clipped and the mouthpiece goes flying out. I make a sound. I go, ah! I get scared. I'm thinking to myself, oh no, like Cody, what's going to happen? He dies. He comes back to life. And Julian has let his guard down because he thinks to himself, oh, he can smell the blood, like I'm going to get him. And then Cody comes back and he hits him with a couple and then Julian's mouthpiece falls out. Ew. Okay, wait, that's not even the ew part. So I don't know if this is true. I didn't go back and rewind it, but of course, our ref cuts in and he says, "Okay, everybody, no one has a gum shield on. We got to put these back in." And they might have put the wrong mouthpiece in, because both of them fell out. Ooh, I hope it's not true. Okay, and John's on a real high, and he's yelling from the sidelines, "Mouthpiece gate!" Like Watergate? No, John, no. Because he made that comment that he thinks that they switched them. I don't know. Anyway, we almost make it to round 2. Okay, we get the mouthpieces back in, and Cody comes back again. Kits Julian. Julian slumping to the ground, chases after him, and we got a TKO. So, F the haters. Okay, underdog, not an underdog now, huh? So there we go, Cody Brundage. He gets the win. Him and his, former teammate, Julian, they embrace. They give each other a hug. It's all love out there. And Cody shows some really good emotion on the mic. So I want to give a shout out. Okay, made it to the main event. So, main event, switcheroo. It was supposed to be Mariscal Kape versus Brandon Royval, and it was 100% supposed to be the fight for who's going to fight for the title next. Okay? But it wasn't that. No. What it happened to be was Mariscal Kape versus Azu Almabayev. And while they might be close in the rankings, it was clear that night. Their skill level is very different. Mariscal Kape he's got it. He's ready, to say the least. But let's give Azu Almabayev a shout out because he is the first ever Kazakh to headline an event at the UFC, and that is a really important, really awesome piece of history that we got to give claps and snaps for. Claps and snaps all around. They both had great walkout songs, so that was fun. But Azu was coming on a 17-fight win streak. So both these men feeling like they've got what it takes. Yeah, and poor Joe Martinez again trying to hype up the Apex. Are you guys ready? Woo. Mariscal Kape said that he really likes 5-round fights. He likes to get in the thick of it. And he likes to take those first 2 rounds to really read and really study his opponent. He's a student of the game. Mariscal Kape is a student of the game, and he did exactly that. He spent those first 2 rounds using his feints really well, trying to see where he could trigger Almabayev to launch forward and what sort of strikes that he was looking for. And again, we have another southpaw versus conventional, so hand fighting. And this time we actually did see a lot of hand fighting. Okay, we did see what felt like a preparation for the marathon of the 5 rounds. A little bit of pawing back and forth. And let me tell you, Mano was studying. He was absolutely studying. It's pretty much all his fight, the first 2 rounds, all control, but you can feel that he's not pressing the gas on it. But by round 3, he's like, I'm locked in. Azu, I know exactly what you're going to do. And he goes for him. And he has Almabayev backing up. He has him shooting for fear-based takedowns. While Almabayev might be a great grappler, he was not shooting those takedowns with confidence. It was fear, okay? And there was kind of a miscommunication. There was what seemed to be a punch to the eye that, as it was saying, was an eye poke. Ref was looked back and was like, okay, no. And then in that 3rd round, looked like there was a legitimate eye poke, and he was trying to, Azu was trying to call time, giving this hand signal, and the ref was like, nah. And So Kape kept coming. So maybe there's a little bit of controversy there. Seemed like Almabayev pretty much recovered from that, but he didn't recover from the pressure from Manel, okay? And eventually he's running. He's running in the cage to get away from him. He's running. Don't get me. He's being chased. Okay. It's overall a pretty lopsided fight that ended in a TKO. So he's getting chased down. He's getting hunted down. And then Manuel pounces on him like a kitty and finishes the job. Cheers to Manuel for being cut from that championship cloth. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that was lopsided. I would say that was our most lopsided fight. So oftentimes you see the level of competition get a lot stiffer as the card goes on because the prelims, there's usually a more uneven matchups because they're not designed as strategically. Typically, the main card's very strategic, so you have a lot of really stiff competition, fights that don't often feel lopsided, but that was the most lopsided fight of the night. But it makes sense because that wasn't supposed to happen necessarily. It was supposed to be Brandon Royval. I think Azu did an amazing job. I can't wait to see what's next, but Manuel, wow. Yeah, he's got it. He's got a game plan and he sticks to it. And that's why that was on the takeaway list. Fight of the night, performance of the night, who got it? So according to the UFC, the fight of the night is Nasrat versus Esteban. That makes a lot of sense. That fight was the split decision of the night that had the most blood, the most violence, was pretty war. I think I agree. I do think I agree that would be the fight of the night for me as well. I mean, we had hundreds of significant strikes. Super cool. But it's kind of tough because I really want to pick the Hyder versus William, because that also had crazy significant strikes and being tied in significant strikes going into round 3, Gomis breaking a personal record of his. They're kind of tied for me. Performances of the night. Okay. Pretty easy to give Manel Kape performance of the night because, like I said, he had a game plan, told us what the game plan was, went in there and did it. And that is something that not a lot of people can do. Very, very cool. UFC also gave Mario Pinto a performance of the night for putting Austin Lane to sleep. That makes sense to me. If it were me, I would think I would pick Manuel Kape and then Cody Brundage as the other performance of the night, because to see Cody come back from the dead and oh my gosh, the double mouthpiece flying out ultimately, but I feel like Cody should get performance of the night because he was in a rough spot and then completely turned it up and showed in general that he had a higher level of technical skill than his competitor in there. But I don't disagree with the Mario Pinto choice as well. Yeah, Mario Pinto would probably be my second choice. So, wow. Great night at the Apex. Other than the Apex. Okay, again, Chrissy Blair holding down the fort on her own. Thank you, Queen. But great night of fights. I think for me, my highlight was the war between Hyder Amil and William Gomis. That was super cool. I'm excited to see more from Hyder and see the top 15 featherweight. That is some stiff competition. It'll be awesome. What was your favorite fight? Let me know. Oh, okay. I had another question. I've been watching a lot of Denzel Washington movies lately. He's awesome and I love him. And I was wondering if you are a fan of any of his movies. Which one is your favorite? Let me know, because there's so many of them. I would like to hear your recommendations.